First of all, thank you so much, Manla Vichingla, for organizing this, and then the SNU Buddhist Society, the members. It is a great joy to communicate with you. In fact, if I'm not wrong, I have been in touch, or they have been communicating, giving some talks to the Buddhist Society, SNU Buddhist Society, in the earlier years, and of course the students. Almost within like 3-4 years, there's always a change in the body of the students group. This is, yes, indeed a great joy for me to be with you all. First of all, thank you so much, and what I may as well say is that from the talk that we're going to have, and that I would highly suggest each one of you to be as interactive in my communication, and that just keep it as very informal. Don't make it too formal, and please say just see what you can get, and any questions that come to your mind, feel free to bring them up. So this is what I'm about to request. So now the screen sharing. In fact, I have prepared some screen, the what do you call it, the slides, and this will be helpful for all of us. And meanwhile, whatever question that you have, the end, if things are not clear, just raise your hands and let me just get back to you. And otherwise, those things, if you are pretty confident that there's going to be like okay, what he's going to say, all this not clear now, maybe in the next 2 lines he may become more clear. If that's the case, then I would rather let me continue my talk to have the flow of the momentum. So with this in mind, I'm just wondering if you can see the screen sharing. Do you see the screen? Amala, do you see screen? Okay, good. So you're seeing my screen. Thank you. With this in mind, given that I've only about like 40 minutes for my talk, and the screen, what I prepared is quite a huge material, and the materials, the PowerPoint, I will leave it in the hands of Manla and Vichingla. The two of them can share. Whoever is interested, you can take a copy for yourself. And I'll not cover all the materials. It's a huge material. First is about the Sustainable Development Goals. We talk about the well-being, our well-being, the mental well-being, to discover the path to the mental well-being. So how to create about mental well-being. Today we see that amongst all these citizens of the world, particularly the youngsters, they have so much of mental the crisis due to the competitions, due to the social media, and for multiple reasons. There's so much mental stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness. These are the issues. How to deal with them, and how to make sure that you maintain a healthy mental well-being. This is very important. So some people may think that this is to do with more personal. It has nothing to do with UNO. But in reality, this is a very serious matter being addressed by UNO. It's talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, and there's a mention of the 17 of them. And of the 17, if you look at number 3, it says good health and well-being. So this is a very serious matter picked up by UNO, WHO. And so here, what is well-being? And just see that how relevant that is to each one of us. You your friends, your parents, your family members, and me also, everyone, how that is so relevant. And then on that basis, how we can, just by seeing these things, you will see that this is not just my personal problem, it's a problem everywhere in the world, and I should not feel too demoralized. So it says that what is well-being? A state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Physically, you are all right. Doesn't mean that there's well-being there. So it says a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Mental well-being is considered extremely important. So this is a serious challenge in the world today. It's not with you, it's not only with your friend or with your brother or sister and so forth, but the whole world. So if you think about this, you will see that, okay, why should I feel mentally so, they say, the burned out, or mentally so the isolated, mentally so sad, low? There's no reason. Just think of that and you see that your mind will be uplifted. So this is the first thing. So with this in mind, I'm not going to go through all these. I will just showing these slides for you to create awareness, for you get awareness as to what's going around the world. In the world around was the situation, and that okay, what I can do. Okay, when I say what I can do, forget about what I can do to the world. I can't even help myself. This can be the thinking pattern of many of the people, but we're going to revolutionize our thinking. To say, what can I do? What can I do for the world? The mere thought of this thought, that what can I do for the world? What can I do for my country? What can I do for my, somebody who is, feeling so isolated, so low? What can I do for that person? So the mere thought of this will uplift you, and it'll give a sense of the completeness, wholeness, and the purpose. This is so precious. Okay, so these slides, don't worry too much about this. I'm going to just show you these slides. Say what kind of anxiety, what kind of stress, mental ill health, all these are indicated there. And of course, you will get you will take a copy of this, the PowerPoint. So it's not meant to make you demoralized. I'm just showing these slides so that what are things, just see if something resonates with yourself, something resonates with your friends, with your family members, and so forth. And if it does, then you become more involved in this. Okay, how to get away from this, how to discover a path which can help you get out of this problem. Okay. So what we have here is that the Albert Einstein, usually we say, oh, mental well-being, how to get away from this. It's all about the religions. Okay, Buddhist society, SNU Buddhist society, is about the Buddhism, is about the religion. It's not the academic. That's not true. Let's see what Albert Einstein has to say. So here Albert Einstein, but he actually defines it so beautifully. And if you know exactly what Albert Einstein said and what the great Indian Buddhist masters said, then you will be fascinated. These giants, both contemporary giants such as Albert Einstein and the past Buddhist great masters, the intellectual, the thinkers, what they thought, they all come to the same point. So what Albert Einstein said is that all our problems are all, say, whether you experience it, whether you experience happiness, joy, or sadness, dejection, or depression, stress, anxiety. Now, anxiety is another, the social, say, a disease, where for no reason, the young people, they start to feel the anxiety. And early morning you get up and suddenly you have an anxiety attack. So these are the problems. So how these things happen. And when we say that, when we identify the causes of these, don't think that you are bad. Oh, you are a very bad person. No, don't think like this. These are due to multiple reasons and factors. We don't identify these factors and then see how to come out of this. Once you know how to come out of this, see how you can help others to come out of these problems. In the process, you feel so healed. So what Albert Einstein said is that all our problems, whether you feel joy, sadness, whatever, these are all mental states. And yes, of course, it's very true. For example, say, when you, even if you are in the AC room, aircon room, very comfortable, very nice food, and people dancing, singing, and so forth, but mentally, if you have, they say, if you have a situation at home where there is the domestic violence happening, or there's a family member is the having terminal illness, and or the tragedy of death happening in your family, even if you are in such an environment, but your mind feels so gloomy, so low, this is reality. So external things, yes, they are the factors, but whether you're happy or unhappy and so forth, it is primarily determined by your mind, your thinking. So this is exactly what Albans has said, that when is it the case that you feel, when you feel, say, the sad, you feel low, you feel imprisoned, suffocated, and when you, and how to free yourself. So he said that the feeling that we feel, the unhappy, sad, and so forth, is all because of our own cognitive, the error in thinking, in creating a separation between self and others. So he says, let me read what he said: a human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He or she experiences themselves, their thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of their consciousness, meaning that I am, and you, I and you, we are different. So you will be create a barrier. And what is this barrier? This is imprisonment. And there's no external barrier there. It is a barrier which our mind creates. This is known as mental imprisonment. And the next slide reads that this delusion, this separation of I and you, this delusion is a kind of prison for us. Our prison is a mental prison, restricting us to personal desires and affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion. So today, they say we love ourselves, and then some can expand it to your family members, your parents, to your siblings, and where they say a sense of affection, love and affection, so small, circle is very small. So Albert Einstein advised us to expand the circle. They expand the circle. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. So this is what we should be doing. If you don't do that, no matter how comfortable your place is, surrounded by good people, good food, good aircon, and so forth, and you will never be happy. So what is meant by unhappiness? And it is extremely painful. The mind, the Buddha identified as the mind is a demonic, and the mind is the best of your friends. Mind is demonic when you think wrong. Mind is best of your friends when you think properly. So here, the next question is whether or not these problems have cure. So I'll get to this. What the Buddha had to say 2,500 years ago, and what Charles Darwin had to say according to Origin of the Species, his contribution to the human evolution. This I'll get back to you later. So given that what we learned is that all these is only mental state. So therefore, it is so important for us to know what is mind. Mental state meaning mind. We have to know what mind is. Once you know the mind, and then see what is the mechanism of the mind. And say, for example, when you feel sad, low, dejected, and so forth, isolated, lonely, and then the anxiety, with the competition, heavy competition, not getting job, and even in the schools, the colleges, universities, there's heavy competition there, and then the job competition. So what is really happening? How my stress builds up? So what is the mechanism of that? If you know the mind, you will see the mechanism within the mind, how these miseries come into being. Once you know that, you will know how to undo that. So, so what is mind? Is it the say neurons in your brain, or this is something the epiphenomena? What is beyond the neurons? And all along my talk, if there are some questions, I'm sure that there are many serious questions coming up. Given that we have short time, I'll just go through these very quickly, and where you have important points which you think that you want more elaboration, or you have some questions, feel free to reserve them during the question answer session. Okay, so this I'll just skip, and then I'm going to show you some slides. Is about what is the world around you, and then where do I fit myself. For example, say one is a school, and number two is the parliament, where the government, the people, representatives of the people, they come together, they discuss the policy of the nation and so forth, and then the security people are there risking their lives. So this is what we see. We try to see the world from your own nation, the world from different perspectives, and you try to get that holistic picture, and then see how you can keep yourself calm, peaceful, and how to spread this peace and happiness to others from a broader and more profound perspective. So let's say this is AIMS meaning All India, the Institute of the Medical Sciences, Delhi, and then the surgical in the air. These are all the realities of life. These don't take them to make yourself demoralized. Just to give you a perspective, to introduce what the world is like within a short span of time, what the world is like. So they are the farmers, and Singapore. I don't expect that you have any agricultural land, but you're eating food, and food is coming from the agriculture, the farmers, and then the banks are there, then the internet service, and so forth. So look, from all, yes, these are all the factors depending on which then you are being affected. So these are the realities. Don't feel too low by seeing this. These are the realities. Yes, these are during the time to COVID. So you know that what happened in Singapore, what happened in India, what happened all over the world. These are the stories. So the problems on the global level to the domestic level, the problems of domestic violence and so forth, these are the things. Okay. And then on top of that, say seeing all these things, getting trapped in these things, these situations, then our mind is affected. So therefore mental hospitals, all these mental hospitals, they're coming up everywhere in the world. Then the question is whether or not there's a cure. This is a serious question. Okay, so COVID-19, when the COVID-19 hits, I would say at the beginning of the COVID-19, how many of you felt extremely scared? Raise hands. How many felt extremely scared that, okay, uncertainty, raise hands. Yes, it was very scary for all of us. And perhaps many people must have forgotten their experience, very scary experience. So, particularly we say the people who appreciate the wisdom and compassion of the Buddha. So these people should think about these, what we actually experience. The Buddha taught this is truth of suffering, and this is the truth of the cause of suffering, and this is the truth of cessation suffering. This is the truth of the path leading to the cessation. In other words, say then the anicca, dukkha, anatta. Okay, dukkha. The best is what you have experienced. Let them be. Yes, what the Buddha taught is very true. This is how we need to see the relevance and the resonance of the Buddha's teachings in real life. For example, there's one Indian gentleman a very gentle, the little elderly gentleman, extremely committed, and he was a government official, retired government official, and then he started to take interest in the Buddha's teachings just the last 4 or 5 years. And recently he lost his wife, and I was constantly going there to console him, and he was telling me that every word the Buddha said, I can see that they're all so real. All compensated things are impermanent, so real. Once upon a time, he himself was a young boy, and his wife as a young girl, and having, this very, say, the friendly relationship and so forth, and then having children and beautiful life. Now that the wife, this beautiful young girl, becoming old, left the world. This is what the Buddha indicated as all compensating things impermanent. This is reality. So he said that young people will not understand what he actually experiencing, what the Buddha, every word the Buddha uttered, they're so real to his life. This is what he said. So the question is whether or not all these ills of the society, the crisis of the society, whether or not there's a solution. This is a serious question. Yes, on the government level, on the UN level, on the individual level, people are putting effort to try to curb the problems to the best they can. But the question is that we see that they're all temporary. They're all temporary. Is there a lasting solution to the question? This is a very serious thing that we need to contemplate on. So with this in mind, let us see first what Charles Darwin had to say. Charles Darwin, just say the 19th century. So what he said is that whether you're happy or fully happy or total fearlessness is all determined by emotions. And he said that emotions such as attachment, aversion, fear, these are instincts. We cannot get rid of these. We require them. We require them for our sustenance, for our survival. If you don't have these emotions, you cannot survive. If you don't survive, the whole purpose of the species is defeated. The purpose of species is to continue the species. That's the purpose of the species, purpose of us. And without attachment, but you will not look for the conducive factors for your survival. Without anger, you will not get rid of the discordant factors for your survival. Without the fear, you will not run away from the threats to your life. And if you don't run away, say the tiger, it jumps on you, and then if you have no fear, you will not run away. You will not run away. In which case, you will die, and your species will terminate. So therefore, Charles Darwin said that you cannot have 100% happiness or say the total fearlessness. The fear, anxiety, these things should be a part of life, and we cannot do away with this. This is what Charles Darwin said. In other words, what he's saying is 100% happiness is not possible, and also the zero fear or zero misery is also not possible. This is Charles Darwin's presentation. Now, what the Buddha has to say, 2,500 years ago, I would like 2,000 years before Charles Darwin, what the Buddha said. Buddha said that every sentient being has a Buddha nature. This is something which Charles Darwin could not think about. And the Buddha thought about this. Everyone has the potential power known as the Buddha nature, the seed of perfection. Whether you're Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. Whether male or female, it doesn't matter. Everyone has this potential, the potential of the total fearlessness and infinite happiness. So this is what the Buddha taught. And yes, I would be very happy to go to explain what is this Buddha nature like that exists within you. within us. So let me go through a simple metaphor. The metaphor that he gave is that just imagine a beggar. Imagine that you're a beggar. You are struggling for your day-to-day, say just one meal a day. Even one meal a day you are not getting, you are struggling to get that. And in reality, in actuality, underneath your simple hut, the ground, the floor of your simple hut, there's a whole huge treasure there. Treasure, say like 20 kgs of gold. And as long as you don't discover that, you are a beggar. You continue to suffer. The moment you discover that, you are no more a beggar. Perhaps you are the richest person in Singapore. You are the richest person on the planet Earth. So this is what the Buddha taught. This treasure is within us. It's not that the Buddha actually he presented it, gifted this to the Buddhists. No, whether you're Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. Everybody has this treasure. And when you say Buddha nature, it doesn't mean Buddhism. It's Buddha is a Sanskrit word. It means awakening. Awakening. Everybody has the capacity to be awakened. So even before the Buddha, for example, the human beings, Homo sapiens, came on the planet Earth since 0.3 million years ago. 300,000 years human being is on the planet Earth. So which means the Buddha was just as late as 2,000 years, 2,500 years ago. And before that, just imagine, say 300,000 years ago, the Homo sapiens, they have the Buddha nature. The Buddha Shakyamuni only discovered it. He did not invent it. Let's not forget it. He discovered this potential. He did not invent it. So this is the greatness of the Buddha's teachings. So with this in mind, if this is the case, then then just imagine that there's gold mixed with the soil. Or let's say a burning gold. Because it's gold, it's very precious. You hold it. If you hold it, it's burning. It burns your hand. What should you do now? If you throw it, you are throwing gold. And you're throwing gold. Oh, it's gold. You keep it. It burns your hand. What should you do? So unwise people will either keep holding it, thinking that it's gold, and it keeps burning your hand. Or some other unwise people will throw this, saying this burns my hand. So what's the point of, even though it's gold, what's the point? Whereas the wise people will put this burning gold in a cold water. The fire is gone and the gold is left. You can enjoy the gold without the effect of the fire. So this is a wise people's approach. So likewise, you have the Buddha nature, the amazing potential where your mind is 24/7 uplifted, full of exuding with joy. You have that potential. Why don't we feel that? Because this potential is mixed with the mud. This potential, gold-like potential of your mind is mixed with the mud. And what is visible when the gold is mixed with the mud? What do you see? You just see the mud. You don't see the gold. So the ordinary people will throw this, seeing this just a mud. Whereas the wise people do not throw this. They see a gold inside. So what they do? They will remove the mud, and the gold will become visible. Gold will shine. It will glow. Okay. So the next question is, what should we do to make this gold manifest? To remove the mud and the gold be manifest. What should we do? This is the next question. So here, this is very interesting. And I like to share this. So when we are directed by the ignorance, this is a problem. Whereas we are directed by the wisdom, then the gold can shine. His Holiness the Dalai Lama puts it so beautifully, exactly what people are doing. Believe it or not, your friends, your family members, this is exactly what they're doing. So His Holiness, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, His Holiness answered, men, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. To make money, he sacrifices his health. Just work. And then even neglect one's food, sleep, health. And then finally the person becomes sick. Then he sacrifices his money to recuperate his health. So first he sacrifices health to get money. Then he sacrifices money to get back the health. And the original health gone, the new car and the repaired car, these are very different. A repaired car can never be as good as the new car. So when you have still the good car, why should you break it down? Break it to make money. So this is, then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present moment. And the result being that he does not live in the present nor in the future. And then he lives as if he's never going to die. This is exactly what we do. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies not having actually lived. This is the paradox of the human beings. So this is the indication how we live in the spirit of ignorance. So our job, the Buddha Shakyamuni, who appeared on planet Earth, is to tell us, wake up by cultivating the wisdom. So what is this wisdom? This is the next question. Okay, so what happened was that the wisdom is a discerning mind. What is wisdom? What is ignorance? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. Let me repeat it. What is wisdom? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. It's for this reason that for Buddha, the most evil of the enemies is the ignorance, not external enemies. For Buddha identified the ignorance as the ultimate enemy of us. What is the enemy? Anybody who creates problem on you, that is the enemy. And if you are not in the grip of the ignorance, if you have the wisdom, nobody can affect us. Nobody can steal your peace of mind. So, if the peace of mind is lost, for sure we are in the grip of the ignorance. When I say grip of ignorance, don't say, oh yeah, I have a problem. I also have depression. I also feel low. Oh, I must be so bad. I must be ignorant. No, don't blame yourself. Make a distinction between I, you, and your mental state. Your mental state is under the grip of ignorance, and don't undermine yourself. If at all you will point to something as so bad, point to your ignorance, not you. The moment you say, I'm hopeless, so the Buddha identify ignorance as the root of the problem, and of the problem, I'm full of ignorance, I am bad. No, my ignorance is bad. I must stay away from the ignorance. When the ignorance is gone, you are the Buddha. You are the one who gets the full of the maximum joy, infinite joy for yourself, and who can create the infinite joy and happiness for your family members, for all the sentient beings. Just imagine Prince Siddhartha, 2,500 years ago. He left the palace, and finally he found the path. He discovered the path to the ultimate well-being of the mind. And then today, after 2,500 years later, how many people are being inspired by this one enlightened person? His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He is such an embodiment. He's a product of these great enlightened masters' teachings. Likewise, Arya Nagarjuna. Likewise, all these great past Indian masters, and the Chinese great masters like I Ching, Xuanzang, and so forth, and the Indian master Guru Padmasambhava, and Lama Tsongkhapa, and just Milarepa, all the great teachers, they are the products of this great enlightened master. So you can also can become enlightened and be inspiration to infinite number of beings. So for this, what we require is that Buddha came to inspire us to awaken ignorance so the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. So oftentimes, this is what I say. For example, we're preparing for your exam. and you say that, okay, tonight I'm going to burn my midnight oil, which means you're going to spend the whole night studying. And then suddenly there's a power cut. There's an unexpected power cut. And then you pray, Buddha, please remove the darkness. I want to study. If the Buddha is sitting next to you, he'll be very upset. What a stupid follower. But if you light a candle, he'll be very happy. This is a wise follower. So the point is that Buddha is extremely realistic teacher. Extremely realistic. He wants us to do things which can realistically give you happiness, which can realistically get rid of the miseries. So he identifies ignorance as the root of all our problems. So do everything to get rid of this ignorance. Just as darkness can be gotten rid of only by lighting introducing light, not by Buddha, please remove the darkness. No, Buddha will be very happy to see that you remove the darkness by introducing light. Just as it is only through introducing the light that the darkness can be eradicated, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. So next question, what is this wisdom? So the wisdom the Buddha identifies as a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's your question? Your question will be, what's reality? This is where the Buddha emphasizes so much on discovering the reality. Today, we talk in the modern education, there's a tremendous emphasis on the objectivity, to be very objective in your approach, indicating that there should not be mental influence from your own the suppositions and so forth. This should not influence the objective reality. But when you do the PhD thesis, when you're writing PhD thesis to defend your PhD thesis, the professors would expect that you are being very objective. You should not be swayed by the biases. So if you have biases, you cannot see the truth. You cannot see the reality. If you cannot see the reality, that is ignorance. So no matter how much you speak, how much you say prayers, we are all just flooded by the ignorance. Where there's ignorance, miseries ensue. So therefore, the wisdom is to emphasize. So one time, it was many years ago, most likely when some of you are not born then, 2003, when I was in Cambridge, England, for my studies there. I used to meet lots of the physicists, because that since my childhood, when I was in class 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 years, the last 4 years in my high school, I was so keen on physics. I was so fond of physics and mathematics, and I was so keen to become a physicist. Then, due to that, after completing my 13, 14 years of my studies in the Buddhist philosophy, when I was sent to Cambridge, I used to meet a lot of physicists, many of the physicists. And one of the physicists was extremely bright, and he was also quite extreme. One day he told me that in this world, only physics is education. Then I said, why? And he said, because only physics allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. Then I said, okay, listen what the Buddha has to say. And then I quoted the Buddha. Monks and the wise people, just as the goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them to practice, not simply because you respect me. And then the physicist, he remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said, oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist. So, what I'm saying here is that the Buddha emphasizes so much on objective analysis of the reality as opposed to being driven by blind faith. In other words, in Buddhism, blind faith is never encouraged. It is dissuaded. So wisdom is encouraged. Let's not forget this. So with this in mind, this is a verse which the Buddha taught, which the Buddha said, "O bhikshus and wise people, just as goldsmith tests the purity of gold through burning, cutting, burning, rubbing the gold, you should also examine my words and put them into practice, not merely because you respect me. Okay, so now here, the next question is that our miseries, which we dislike, our emotional distress, our emotional, they say, the loneliness, and the sadness, anxiety, and so forth, say, how do they come about? On the mental, how do they come about? So this is said by Arya Nagarjuna, and he was the first century scholars date him from first century to second century AD, and what is said, his works, in fact, he is revered as the second Buddha. And of course, there are some of the figures of the past India who have been revered as the second Buddha. And he's the first one to be revered as the second Buddha within India. So what is said is that our emotional states, these are the resultant states of unhappiness, stress, anxiety, and so forth. These are the resultant states. And they never arise randomly. And for information, say the one debate between quantum physics and relativity theory. Quantum physics headed by Niels Bohr, and relativity theory taught by Albert Einstein. So one of the debates between the two is the concept of randomness. So Albert Einstein, he was totally against the concept of randomness, saying that the whole world, whole universe is operating on the basis of the physical law of cause and effect. And the randomness, as opposed to the cause and effect, this is something which to Albert Einstein is not acceptable. This is exactly what the Buddha taught, saying that all the miseries, joys, that sadness, distress, and so forth, they all arise from the respective causes. There's always a causal reason for these. And unless we deal with the causes, the emotions of the sadness and the dissatisfactions cannot be got rid of. So now, if these are given rise to by the causes, what are the causes? So here, this verse, if you understand it fully, this will give you a very perfect picture of the mechanism, how the causes, how the miseries are caused by the respective factors within the mind. So it says, ceasing of karmas and afflictions, the ceasing of the actions and destructive emotions is freedom. In other words, ceasing of karmas and afflictions is nirvana. Freedom here meaning nirvana, liberation. Actions and destructive emotions arise from conceptualization of inappropriate tension. So, say your miseries are given rise to by the karmas. When you say karma, don't think that karma is something very abstract phenomena which we have to believe in. No, it's very simple. It's any action, physical, verbal, and the verbal action that we engage in, physical, verbal, and mental action that we engage in. These are known as the karmas. And these karmas, what trigger these karmas actually trigger our miseries. And these karmas, particularly contaminant karmas, what triggered them is by the driving motivations of the afflictions. Afflictions as the driving motivations, like anger, attachment, and so forth. And these afflictions, referred to as the destructive emotions, they're given rise to by the exaggerating conceptualizations. For example, let's say that say in the dream, I see let's say a beautiful flower, and I feel that this is so real flower, not only real, this is so beautiful. First, I exaggerate the object. Beautiful, there is a real flower. Actually, it's a dream flower. And then after this, then I exaggerate the quality of the object. This flower is so beautiful. Because of this exaggeration of the quality is so good, my mind is pulled by this. This is attachment. And this attachment then makes, if I don't own the flower, that the person may go to steal it. That is a karma. And this karma ends up into the owner beating you up, suing you. So that is the miseries. So we see that this is the actions or the karmas are given rise to by destructive emotions, which are afflictions. which in turn arise from exaggerating the qualities of the object, which is the conceptualization of inappropriate attention. So what makes you manifest that exaggeration of the qualities of the object is the exaggeration of the object per se, seeing the dream flower as a real flower. So which in turn arises from the misconception of the reality. So when you when you dissolve this misconception, or when you dispel the misconception of the reality, you discover the reality. Discovering the reality is the discovery of the wisdom. So the misconception ceases through the wisdom of emptiness. To see that the dream flower is empty of being real. So that reality will undone all the causes and eventually will undo the miseries also. Okay, so with this in mind, so we see that, okay, that's amazing how my miseries, mental stress, anxiety, they come into being, mental ill health come into being, all within the mind. So for this, what is mind? This is a very serious question I would pose to all the participants here, and to the audience here, to really contemplate on what is mind. And some people would abjectly say that, oh, there's no mind, it's just a brain. Some people say that mind is a very complicated thing, nobody can define it. This is totally their own naivety. Mind is so well defined by the Buddha as a clear and knowing agent. It's not a physical, it's a non-tangible, clear and knowing agent, which you and I always 24/7 we experience that. We live with this, and that is what drives us to remove fear and dare. So this is so important, and of course there are techniques by which to be aware of this, the clear knowing agent, the intangible clear knowing agent within your mind. Be aware of this, and then fix it. By fixing it, your afflictions will subside, all your emotions will be under control, and whatever you do becomes extremely productive. Okay. This is a very important statement made by one Indian great master by the name Bodhisattva Shantideva. And I would suggest to all of us, if you can, get his book. The title of the book is, in fact, Manla and Vijayala, two of them can help you to identify this book. The title of the book is A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. This is amazingly great. The book of psychology, how to deal with your emotions and how to maintain your emotions balanced and healthy, and this extremely insightful book, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So where of course chapter 9 is a little complicated. It requires more extensive studies without help of a teacher. Chapter 9 is going to be a little complicated. It's pure philosophy. And of course, that is the ultimate solution to dealing with our destructive emotions. So, what is that here? As you can read here, is that they say a person who wants to walk in Singapore freely, barefooted, and they say that, oh, the pebbles, the pebbles and thorns and so forth can prick me. Please cover the entire Singapore with the leather. It's not feasible. It's not feasible. So instead, if you cover your 2 tiny feet with 2 small pieces of leather, you walk. That suffices, covering the entire Singapore with the leather. So this is a metaphor that this great teacher gave, saying that our miseries, our stress, anxiety, for example, like say the loss of near and dear ones, and your complications at home, complications between friends. So that complication, when manifested inside within you, you feel it's so suffocating and stressful. So this stress and suffocation, that is nothing but due to the causes. What causes? There are 2 primary causes, like the two hands, it erupts into the explosion of a sound of a clap. So that sound of a clap should necessarily come into being by the combination of the 2 hands. So one symbolizing external factors and the other symbolizing internal factors. One symbolizing, say, the contribution from your friend creating nuisance on you, and the other from your side, how you react. These 2 things. When these two things come together, then the unwanted, undesirable feeling of suffocation, stress, anxiety erupts. So now the question is, okay, whose problem is that? His problem, her problem. You blame outside. And then say, when from Singapore, if you go to other places where the humidity is so less, and think, oh, Singapore is so humid, I don't like it, it's so humid. When you are in outside Singapore, you say, oh, everywhere is so dirty. Singapore used to be so clean. It is so clean. You miss Singapore. When you're in Singapore, you say, it's so humid. So I want to go out. I want to go out. I want to go out. I want to go to Australia. I want to go to this. So in short, we are never happy. When outside Singapore, you miss Singapore, saying that, oh, everywhere you go is so dirty, Singapore is so clean. When you're in Singapore, you say, oh, I miss outside, Singapore is so humid. So this is a problem. So some people, when they're in Singapore, they're very happy. They appreciate the cleanliness. When they're outside, they appreciate the lack of the humidity, dry weather. They appreciate wherever they are, they're very happy. Some people, wherever they are, they're very unhappy, which means the world is the same. But what makes the difference is the internal factor, and how many external factors are there to disturb you, to create mental agitation, to make you feel anxietic. How many external factors are there? There are innumerable external factors. And how many internal factors are there? Only 2 internal factors are there. But we always blame the external factors. We always blame the external factors. So this is unwise. How do you demarcate between wise and unwise? Wise people blame the internal factors. Unwise people blame the external factors. This is the difference. Why? Blaming outside factors is unwise. Because unwise means those who endeavor to fulfill a goal, but the goal is never accomplished. That's unwise. No matter how much you try to get rid of the external factors are too numerous in number that you cannot get rid of them fully. So therefore, all those people who blame the external factors, this is unwise. Whereas internal factors, there are only 2. This is doable. You do that. This is what Prince Siddhartha succeeded. This is what His Holiness the Dalai Lama succeeded. This is what Arya succeeded. So the point is that those people who work to get into the internal factors, these are wise people, because what they do is something which can actually bring the results. So this is the approach. So now the next point is 3 important factors. What is the path to mental well-being? How to really bring about this. Once you know that things are all happening, we all have the potential to feel the perfect well-being, mental well-being, total fearlessness, and infinite happiness, stress-free. If this is a potential, but I don't feel it now. I don't feel it. There's always mental anxiety, always hollowness, loneliness, sadness, and so forth. What should we do? So there are 3 ways which the Buddha taught. So they say of the 3, I'm going to give you the overview of these 3, and in the next session, I don't have to go through the introductory paths, so that will make up the next class easier. So first one is known as cognitive transformation. Second one is known as affective transformation, and third one is known as concentration transformation, mental concentration transformation. There are 3 of them. And the first one, cognitive transformation. So let us say that let me give you a simple example as to what these 3 things are. For example, say that a child doesn't know, the child has a problem in maths, and the mother loves the child. Of course, the mother loves the child. Mother loves you so much, and they and then you're so stressed, you're anxietic. Oh, I have math paper tomorrow, I may fail. And you go to the mother. Mother also doesn't know maths. So Then the mother said, "Oh, my child, my daughter, my son, don't worry. She gives you comfort out of her love to you." Affective transformation. Number two, out of this love. And then you feel you, your problem is not over, but mentally you feel at ease because of this love and affection. The mother said, "Don't worry." So you are scared that if I don't do good in maths, the paper, the exam, the mother may be very sad. Now the mother gives you the assurance, "Don't worry, I'm all right. You try your best, you do your best, and it'll be all right." And your mind stress subsides. Not because the problem is solved. Problem is still not solved. But the mother's love gives you the assurance that you don't have to worry. So your stress is subsided. Number two is that, let's say that your teacher comes, your teacher who is also a neighbor comes, and what's the problem? "Hey girl, hey boy, what's the problem?" "Oh, I have a math paper tomorrow. I'm struggling with this." "Don't worry, I'll come, I'll teach you." So teacher teaches you. Or the mother sends you to your teacher with the tuition fee. And the teacher teaches you, not out of love, but teaches you, and then your problem is solved. So that is a cognitive transformation. Cognitively, the ignorance is resolved. So mother could not resolve the ignorance, but the mother gives you love and affection that you feel at ease. Stress is resolved, but the root is still there. With the cognitive transformation, root is cut. So your stress is gone. Then the third one, concentration transformation, or mental concentration transformation. So here, if somebody every day does single point of meditation, whatever meditation that you're doing, vipassana meditation, shamatha meditation, whatever you're doing, you do that meditation on a day, stably, consistently, on a daily basis. Then at time you build the stability, steadiness of mind. Then say, even if there's an exam there, say small things will not stir your mind into stress, anxiety, and so forth. Problem is not solved, but your mind is not wavered like this. What is stress? Stress is when your mind feels unstable, involuntary, unstable, instability of the mind. Involuntary instability of the mind is known as anxiety. So first is stress. When the stress is on an intense level, is known as anxiety. And the stress, when it is to an extended period, it is known as depression. So is the involuntary movement of the mind. So this is the one is to fix the cognitive error, bring about a cognitive transformation by fixing the cognitive error. So this is primarily what we'll do in the next class. Then, and of course, even the second one, effective. Okay, the numbering is a little problem there. Sorry. The effective transformation. That is what we should be doing today, but due to the introductory part, which is extremely important, we may do the major part of this in the next class. So effective transformation. It doesn't solve the problem, but your stress is calmed down. When love is gone, affection is gone, again the stress will come back because of the cognitive error still within us. So, and now the thing is that how to bring about these transformations: cognitive transformation, affective transformation, and a meditative concentration transformation. Okay, for this, look at this. This is the richness of the Buddhist psychology, which the Buddha taught. Be it in the Theravada tradition or in the Mahayana tradition meaning the Sanskrit tradition, Sanskrit Buddhist tradition. Theravada tradition is the Pali Buddhist tradition. It's just the same. It's just the same. The only thing is that the Buddha taught what the Buddha taught to public, to everybody. So that is being sustained all these many years without any, say, the obvious, the degeneration. So that is known as, today, is known as the Theravada Buddhism, or also referred to as the Pali language-based Buddhism. And they said concept matter is just the same teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. And then whereas the second class of teaching which the Buddha gave, and then these later, it was developed meaning that it was revived, particularly by Arinigarjuna, the subject matter of which is particularly about the cognitive transformation and effective transformation, and which was developed in Nalanda, Virkamanashila, Takshashila, Uttandapuri, these monastic universities in Sanskrit language. That can be known as the Mahayana Buddhism. Within Mahayana Buddhism, then we see that one is in the Chinese tradition, one is the Tibetan tradition. Also alongside, there is the Vietnamese, Korean, and so forth, which to many of these parts, the Chinese Buddhism went there, but the Korean and the Vietnamese on their own, they also went to India and they were brought. So it's a mixture of these things. So in short, the Sanskrit language-based Buddhism is predominantly in China, in Tibet, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam, and so forth. And Pali language-based Buddhism, today known as the Theravada Buddhism, predominantly in Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and so forth. So, look at these 51 mental factors. You go to study the Buddhist psychology of the 51 mental factors in Theravada Buddhism. You'll find it there. You'll find the 52 mentioned 52, and in the Mahayana or the Sanskrit language-based Buddhism, you'll see the mention of 51. It's just same. It's just a matter of how you enumerate. For example, I say the human beings, they are classified into three. They say let's say the human beings who are classified into three. What are these three? Say the Singaporeans, Malaysians, and the non-Singaporean, non-Malaysians. This is three. And somebody said no, all the citizens of the world can be divided into two. What are they? Singaporeans and non-Singaporeans. Finish. There's no contradiction. It's just a different way of classification. Is actually they mean the same. Okay, so this is exactly what you find in the today in the Theravada Buddhism and the Mahayana Buddhism is just the same. It's the same thing. But the thing is that we, instead of being what is the word? Instead of being, they say, oh, I'm following this, I'm following that. No, just follow Buddha. Don't say that I'm Mahayana Buddhism, I'm Theravada Buddhism. Just say they following Buddha. As simple as that. Learn both. Be expert in both. And you benefit everybody. Buddha didn't say that I'm benefiting the Theravada Buddhism, I'm benefiting the Sanskrit Buddhism. Whoever comes, he teaches. So therefore, be expert. Be the true student of Buddha. Learn everything and be able to benefit anybody who comes to you. Somebody who wants to learn about Theravada Buddhism, teach Theravada Buddhism. Somebody who wants to learn the Mahayana Buddhism, teach Mahayana Buddhism. Be expert in all. Why should we be limiting ourselves to only a small, the small part of the knowledge? Be expansive. So this is what I would suggest. So now, having said this, of course, say in the monastic universities, the scholars, they learn this for months and months and months, whereas we are doing this within a few minutes. And why I'm showing all these things is not to make you feel demoralized, so heavy, overwhelmed, but to tell you that this is so rich tradition. The Buddha's teachings is very rich tradition. You can actually learn and you can become a master of your own mind, master of your own self, and benefit everyone, Buddhists, non-Buddhists, males, females, everyone. And the people who take care of the environment, you can help everybody. So of these, what is mental factor? What do you mean by mental factors? Is in short, is the mental function, how the mind works. So with this, also how the mind works, we see that when we talk about particularly the affective mental transformation, if you go back, if you go back, the number 2, actually it's not number 2 here, what is it? Cognitive transformation, number 1, affective transformation, number 2, affective transformation. So for this, how do we bring about affective transformation? In the first place, what is affective? What is meant by affective? So let's say that, I like my mom. There's affinity there. So some people love flowers. Some people don't love flowers. And say group A, who loves flower, and group B, who does not love flower. I say, what is this? Both sides will say that this is a flower, which means that both sides, they agree to the same point, this flower, which means it's purely cognitive. There's no affective, there's no adherence, there's no cognitive, there's no, it's purely cognitive. There's no affective or adherence indicated. It's a flower. Now when the answer deviates, say, how beautiful is this flower? Those who love the flower will say it's beautiful, and those who does not love the flower will say that so. Now look, the answer divides, which means that some people show affinity and some people do not show affinity. So that is known as the affective, where your mind is pulled or pushed. That comes the affective element of the mind, where there's no pull and push, simply the cognitive judgment. Oh, this is a flower. This is a chair. I'm in Singapore. I'm outside Singapore. These are all purely cognitive judgment, and the affinity is not there. How beautiful is Singapore? Some say it's very beautiful. Some say, oh, okay, it's very humid. So where adherence, affinity shown, not shown, that is where your mind is pushed. When the pull and push happens, that is the affective element. Pull and push happens. Okay. So the number one is, as I indicated earlier, so cognitive transformation is where you fix the cognitive on the cognitive error in your mind, and it has nothing to do with the affective element. The next one is affective. Say you come home and you see your mom. And some people, the moment they see the mom, they feel so much at ease. Some people, the moment they see their mom, their mind feels disturbed. You feel unhappy. Sometimes very sad. It's extremely sad to see their children. When they see their parents, they feel so unhappy. In fact, I have a friend. I don't want to mention the name of a friend. And I visited him. And he has 2 sons. And he is living by himself, on his own. And very sad. He is so long father, but his 2 sons, both in the 30s. Elder son visited only once. They're in the same city, but visited his father only once in 2 years. And the younger son did not even visit the father even once in 2 years. Extremely sad. So sad. So whereas some people, they were so much looking forward to meeting the parents. This is different. So what makes the difference? Affective side is missing in the case of these 2 boys. Where some people, the affective side is so beautiful. So when you say that, okay, very complicated person, your mind is pushed. There is also affective. Affective doesn't mean pull all the time. It can be push and pull. Where say, what is this? It's a flower. There's no affinity shown, pull or push. There's no pull and push. Whereas how good is this? Some says good, some says not good, some say not bad. It's not good. So there pull and push happens. So the affective side is related to compassion, feeling of the affection, bodhicitta, and so forth. So we are dealing with the affective transformation. For that matter, they say how the mind works. So we're going to explain that where there is a mind, the mind works. It has multiple functions. Of these, we're going to deal with 5 of them very quickly. And then the more detailed explanation we'll do in the next class. Affective, cognitive, both in the next class. Very quickly, the mind works with these 5. Of course, it has multiple functions. Of these, there are 5 which are so important for us to know. The first 5 of the few to one mental factors, we're going to deal with the first 5. First 5, they are, okay, they are known as the 5 ever-present factors, 5 ever-present mental factors. So what are they? Contact, I'm going to explain it in very simple terms. Otherwise, each one of them, they have their own definitions. Contact, attention, discrimination, feeling, and intention. And I would highly suggest that if you can remember these 5, learn these 5 by heart, and then as I explained this, how we work on this basis and how to bring about the mental well-being. When you are stressed, how to undo the stress. When you're anxiety, how to undo the anxiety, and so forth. This would be very, very helpful. This would be great helpful. And if when you see the benefit yourself, you can use this and share this wisdom with the other people, with your friends. Okay, so let's say that say you get up in the morning, let's say at 6 a.m. And one day your mom at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. slams the door and says, good morning, my daughter, good morning, my son. Okay, let's say. And then you are in the deep sleep and your mother is yelling, good morning and happy birthday. And you see, because you are still in half sleep, so your mind is very hazy, but you will be happy birthday. Oh, it must be my birthday. And you see that your mother is holding something in her hand. And then what are you expecting? So you rub your eyes to see what it is. Okay, first, your eyes come in contact, your ears come in contact with what your mother said. First was contact. So your ears come in contact with what your mother said. Your eyes come in contact with what your mother is holding in her hands. Contact. With a contact, because your eyes are not seeing very clearly, your mother is holding something, you heard well. But your mother said, happy birthday. Happy birthday means you're expecting some gift. So she's holding something in her hand. Because that you are half asleep, you cannot see too well. So what do? You rub your eyes. You rub your eyes. Why you are rubbing your eyes? To pay attention. Number 2, to pay attention. Paying attention, you come to discriminate. Discriminate meaning to discern, to know that what she is holding is brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max. Okay, what happens to your feeling? Next is feeling. Very pleasant feeling comes. Very pleasant feeling comes. You like the pleasant feeling? Or not? Yes, I like the pleasant feeling. Because you like the pleasant feeling, you would like to sustain the pleasant feeling. How to sustain the pleasant feeling? By holding the object which triggers this pleasant feeling. What triggered the pleasant feeling? What your mother is holding. So your next intention. Intention is a mental intention to embrace the object which triggered the pleasant feeling within you. So that embrace, that is affinity. That affinity. Your mind has the affective element. Your mind goes to embrace the iPhone 15, iPhone 16 Pro Max. Embrace it. And who's holding it? Your mom. You also embrace the mother. That is affection. This is the affection where your mind feels close to somebody. This is known as affection. With affection, what happens? The counterforce, uneasiness, or say disliking or hatred. These will all dissolve. The barrier dissolves. So if you just say, whereas the moment you go to hold what the mother is holding, trying to hold it, you see it's a piece of chocolate. It's an iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's a piece of chocolate. Then all your emotions change. What happened? You hold it, you very closely see that contact, closely with the object, and you pay attention, and you see instead of the iPhone 6 Pro Max, you see that it's just a piece of chocolate. Discrimination, that is a chocolate. Feeling, you feel a very unpleasant feeling. You like it, you don't like it. Because you don't like it, you want to remove this unpleasant feeling. How to remove the unpleasant feeling? The trigger the unpleasant feeling. What is the trigger the unpleasant feeling? The chocolate. And the mother who holds the chocolate. So you say that, Mom, please get away. You'll throw the chocolate. So the intention to push. Okay. So that is anger. That is agitation. That is distress. For example, say your exam, competitive exam. and the exam say okay, you come in contact with the exam. Oh, I have to sit for the exam, come in exam contact. Then you pay attention. Yes, I have to sit for the exam. You know that so well that, and then because of this, then the unpleasant feeling comes. Because unpleasant feeling comes, then the intention to resist that. Resist. No, I should not. This is undesirable. I don't like it. Then so your mind resists. This resistance is known as stress. Involuntary resistance. That is stress. So if the stress is intense, if the exam is extremely competitive, then your stress level is so high, that is anxiety. And if it is extended, exams keep postponing, keeps the postponing, then it gets sustained for a longer duration. That becomes depression. You can go into depression. So if you don't want this depression stress, what you do, you should stop the intention from resisting the object. How to stop it? Hey, don't resist, don't say that. Don't say this, very unwise. If you want to resist it, Buddha said, Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All the phenomena arise from the causes. Check the cause and remove that cause. What's the cause of this resistance on the intention level? Go above. Number 4, unpleasant feeling. Change the unpleasant feeling to the pleasant feeling. How to remove the unpleasant feeling and change it to pleasant? Go number 3, discrimination. Say that, okay, this piece of chocolate, this is not iPhone 16. This is not iPhone 16 Pro Max. This is a piece of chocolate. So what? With a piece of chocolate, discrimination, yes. Make discrimination the piece of chocolate. So what's the problem? So if you can change the discrimination, it's just a piece of chocolate. Instead of that, you change the discrimination to something very rich, very profound. And you add the discrimination. Don't make it confined to only one in discrimination. It's a piece of chocolate. My mother got up at 5 p.m. She came to my room, which means she got up at 4:30 minimum. Latest by 4:30. She got up that to congratulate me. They're so beautiful, so kind. And she didn't come empty-handed. She at least came with some chocolate. So thoughtful, so kind. So you make the discrimination rich. Then the feeling will be, unpleasant feeling will be dissolved and will appreciation. So my mother got up at 4:30 to congratulate me. She remembers my birthday. I forgot my own birthday. She remembers that. It's all out of love. When you say that she remembers my birthday, what's the feeling like? Pleasant feeling comes. That pleasant feeling is extremely healing. That pleasant feeling, it reinforces your immunity. When the immunity is restored, autoimmune disorder, all will be subsided. And of course, don't think that it will get rid of the autoimmune disorder completely. Of course, it can greatly help us. But it depends on what degree of your smartness of the cognitive transformation with respect to the affective transformation. So for this discrimination, how to change this to make this discrimination so rich and profound? By making the attention and contact with the information rich and profound. So therefore, the Buddha emphasized so much on the light of the information. Light. Information that we learn, the Buddha gave the metaphor of the light. So the Buddha said that even if you have beautiful eyes, but without the light, you cannot see anything. So the light here is the information. We should get the correct information, not the wrong information. Today, Google, you can get all the garbage information. You can get all the good information. So we should be smart to distinguish what is good information from what is bad information. Discard bad information and gather the good information. Vast good information, profound good information, a systematic good information. With this, it guarantees your discrimination is so rich, systematic, and profound. That guarantees your feeling as so rich, profound, and vast. That guarantees your intention to embrace rather than to reject. That embrace is the healing, is your mind which is embracing. that is when the healing takes place. Your immunity is boosted. So therefore, the compassion, somebody going to feel this compassion, affection 24/7, the immunity is strengthened. So whereas people go to do gym and so forth, but mentally is so upset with this, upset with that, and so forth, your immunity will continue to be dropped, your immunity is going to be exhausted, going to go down, and then you are bound to, no matter how much you go to gym, it'll not really help. So this is how we can bring about a transformation in your, say, the discrimination, to bring about the change in the feeling, to change the intention from rejection to the embrace. So we'll go more into detail in the next class. Okay, so I'd like to stop here, and any questions you might have.
Kushila, it's Kyle from Singapore. Miss having the retreat with you in Tosalim Nanari. So my question is, because you're talking about discrimination, right? So at what point do you think our mind can point towards the part that we should be aware of that discrimination?
This is a good question. This is a good question. Can you hear me? Kayo, can you hear me?
I am.
By the way, nice to meet you again. Yes. Okay. How do we remember the particular discrimination? The point is that it's about the habituation. One is habituation, and say for example, say for us, okay, now I would have the breakfast, right? It automatically comes. Okay, now it's time for me to go to school. It automatically comes. Or now I have to check my emails. So this is all because of the practice. And the thing is that our mind, what makes us not remember to apply the correct discrimination at the correct time, this is known as distraction. So these distractions are because of multiple factors. Distraction to trivialities. In other words, laziness. Laziness is one of the biggest of the obstacles to your success. So the laziness will tend to make you forget what you should be doing. So always try to stay away from the laziness. In other words, try to remove the mental, the unhealthy mental thought processes as much as possible, and try to make yourself rich, enrich yourself with the positive thinking as much as possible. So these will make sure that say for example, sometimes the computer hangs. Even your computer is so good, but it hangs. Why? It hangs when it cannot think properly. Computer cannot think properly because it runs on so many softwares, some of which are actually mal softwares, which can actually hamper the softwares from operating. So to discard those devices from the computer so that the computer can operate so fruitfully. Thank you.
I want to ask if just now when you mentioned the Charles Darwin, that he mentioned that the emotions are essential for our survival, and then I can't quite catch it, but was it that we can't be 100% happy because it will not be essential to our survival? What are your can you elaborate?
Okay, this is a serious, good question. Thank you. So according to Charles Darwin, so let us make things very clear. Let us be very objective in our approach, and don't begin by saying that what Charles Darwin said is wrong, what the Buddha said is correct. Don't start with this supposition. So let us go in both direction and then see which is correct and which makes more sense to you. So what Charles Darwin said is that our emotions. So because I went so quickly to cover as much materials, so broadly speaking, let's say attachment, aversion, and fear. These are the emotions. Charles Darwin said these are instincts, number one. instincts implying that we cannot get rid of these. These are, say, the spontaneously risen. They are instincts. Instincts from 4 billion years of, let's say, the evolution. Homo sapiens, 0.3 million years ago. And to go back, then we go back with our ancestors. We go back. We see that our ancestor can be traceable to 4 billion years ago. The unicellular organism, which came into existence in the water when the water started to come on the planet Earth. Water came on the planet Earth 4 billion years ago. And the planet Earth came out of the sun 4.6 billion years ago. And the sun came out from the Milky Way galaxy. Today we say the galaxy, but otherwise before say 4.6 billion years ago, and even before that, it was a part of this, like the black hole. And today exploded in the form of Milky Way galaxy. That also is a part of another huge, massive black hole known as the singularity, which is considered as the beginning of the visible universe. And of course, the scientists, physicists, they differ in their view whether or not that is the beginning of the universe or there is something before that. For example, like Professor Michio Kaku, he's not in favor of that singularity, the Big Bang, as the beginning of the universe. It's just a part of the beginning of this particular universe. But before that, there should be something else. Likewise, Roger Penrose, who is a Nobel laureate in 2024, I think. I don't remember too well. Professor Roger Penrose, who is a brilliant British physicist, and for him it's very clear that there should be a beginning. There's a beginning before the Big Bang, which means 15 billion years ago. So if you go back in time, so these three motions, they are seen as what the human evolution, starting from the unicellular organism and then keep evolving, and finally 0.3 million years ago, Homo sapiens, and now this is how these three emotions evolved, and we cannot get rid of them. These are instincts, number one. Number two, that we require them. These are the two justifications which Charles Darwin they come up with to say that we cannot get rid of these three emotions. We require these emotions for our survival, for the continuation of our species. And if that is the justification of, if this is what Charles Darwin is justifying, then the implication is that when the anger is there, how many of you are happy? When fear is there, how many of you are happy? Nobody's happy. In other words, what he's saying is that to have 100% happiness is not possible. To have zero the fear, or in other words, total fearlessness, is also not possible. This is what Charles Darwin's implication is with the conversation on the emotion. So whereas for Buddha is very different. Buddha tackles very differently. The Buddha said that emotions are not just because of the evolution. Human evolution, is it a major factor? Answer is 100% yes. But it doesn't mean that these destructive emotions cannot be gotten rid of. Because the emotions are how they manifest in us two ways. One, because of the brain that we have, the neurons, the sophisticated neurons, sophisticated brain structure that we have, which evolved over the last 4 billion years ago. Over the 4 billion years, it evolved. There's a brain. So meanwhile, the brain is not the mind. Brain, concomitant to the brain, is the mind. This mind came from the past life. For example, let's say if there's somebody from a Singaporean who has extremely flexible body, a gymnast, extremely flexible body, and you come to say to Singapore, to India, and then we put you in a very bulky spacesuit. Although your body is very flexible, with the bulky spacesuit you cannot demonstrate your physical agility. It doesn't mean that you don't have that, you have lost your agility because of this bulky suit which confines you. So this bulky suit is like the brain. And you as a gymnast with a very flexible body is like the brain. It's the mind inside the brain. So the brain is like the bulky body, and the mind is like the gymnast inside this bulky body. And outside people will only see the bulky space suit, will not see the person inside. So it is like the scientists, they only see the brain. They think that it's just a brain. Actually, there's a mind which is a non-physical entity which actually governs all the movement of the brain. This is a very serious discussion, and in fact, I am so keen to write a book on this about the brain-mind paradox. Okay, so for Buddha, this mind is not only is not the product of only from the human evolution, but it's also from what came from the past lives. So these combined together this way. So therefore, the mind, when freed from the brain, which we inherited from the human evolution, so that mind then can behave in a different way depending on how much you train yourself in a particular form. Good. Next question.
Thank you, Geshe.
Welcome.
So I see that we're coming to 9 o'clock in Singapore. So maybe if there is one more question, we can just take one more question.
Yes. Anyone? Any question?
So then if not, then I think what we will like to do is just to request all the participants to come to in front of the screen to take a group photo with Venerable Geshe, and then we will wrap up the session here.
Yes, good. That's good. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Geshe. And so we will see you next week. So thank you so much for your teachings. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Manla, Vijayla, and all the participants. Thank you.